G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to another video. Here we go with another Lewis Hamilton DLC installment, a diamond lap and a track guide for Mount Panorama motor racing circuit, or colloquially known as Bathurst. Very iconic circuit, my home circuit, and ironically I actually don't get on too well with this track, so I don't know, there's just something about it. It's so hard to get right. It is very rewarding once you do get it right though, because it is extremely satisfying to piece together a good lap here, and I have done exactly that here to beat yours truly, Lewis Hamilton, here. So we all know Lewis Hamilton DLC, check the description for all of the information regarding it. I do have a playlist of all my other diamond laps / track guide, and yeah, that's about it for all that. We are of course in the Mercedes-Benz AMG Group 3 car, of course with the 100/100 power weight, so not balanced, to balance a performance specification, so very understeery this car thanks to the sort of higher power, because the balance of performance car has like 90-something% power. We are of course running 100%. So Mount Panorama, the 23 turn mountainous, pretty much a mountain range here in Bathurst, Australia. But you see, coming through onto Conrod Straight, we're 3/10 up on Lewis Hamilton's lap. You might notice my record at 2:01.2. I have actually already beaten a lap, but this was a faster lap. I wasn't actually too happy with my 2:01.2. I hit the wall on a couple of occasions and somehow still managed to beat Lewis Hamilton's lap of a 2:01.477. So I thought I'll go again and show you a lap where I didn't hit the wall, and it did end up being faster, although I did make a mistake at the final corner, but I was, you know, significantly far up enough on his time that I didn't really need to restart. So I've got to see that mistake now onto the power out of turn 23, and we just catch the grass in the exit. We just get sucked off to the right a little bit. That of course is adding distance to the lap, which we don't want to do. But anyway, we see my lap, a 2:01.185. Now, following the structure of these videos, we are going to slow down my lap. It's a replay, but we'll slow it down, and we're going to point out all of the markers that I used, and hopefully you can then use to pick yourselves up another diamond against Lewis Hamilton. So we're going to start that one now. So we're going to begin the lap here on pit straight, and we're going to focus on the entry to turn 1. These right-hand corners are actually much slower than you think. Braking just after the 100 meter board, there's like a little sun line that just goes onto the track. We use that to brake. Second gear, you want to get really close to that apex, but you don't want to climb the inside curb, and you want to trail brake, and you actually see that under brakes I catch up quite a bit of time to Lewis Hamilton, and I trail braked absolutely dead perfectly into turn 1 at that point. So we're actually gaining time coming up Mountain Straight. I was really happy with turn 1. You see we're a 10th up at this point. I've got his ghost set 2 tenths ahead of me at the start of the lap, so that's why. His ghost is still ahead, but I am up on the time. If you have a look on the little blue number just above the red rev gauge, reading negative 0.121 at this instant, that is my time difference to Mr. Hamilton. Coming into turn 2, Griffin's Bend, looking for that 100 meter board and braking just halfway along the tarmac runoff, sort of on just after the 100 meter board into third gear. We want to keep it nice and close to this inside apex. You don't want to start climbing the curb though, because the car gets very unsettled, and the car really wants to understeer on exit as well, so you've got to be pointed in the right direction with not too much steering lock on, because that is how understeer is exacerbated. Coming into the cutting now, turning in nice and early, rolling off the throttle, no brakes yet until after the apex of 3, and then we're gently down into second gear, and we're going to have that inside camber of turn 4, the cutting, and then on the exit we do actually get a little bit of oversteer there, but not too bad. I do manage to catch it, but we are going to lose time up this little uphill section just here, up until the tree. So you're looking for that tree on the right. We're in third gear, we're going to turn in just on the tree. We actually don't change up to fourth as the car gets more understeer in higher gears. You'll probably carry more speed through there than I did. You can get onto that curb on the exit there, but we're going to begin the run through the mountain, through the park section of Bathurst here. Coming through here, as the track dips down, just as you reach the trough of that dip, you want to come off the throttle a little bit, and then we're going to want to get back on the throttle to avoid understeering into the wall. McPhillamy Park, the highest point just here. We want to turn in just before the crest as the car does a nice wheelie over the top of that. We don't want to lose connection of those front wheels. And then this curb on the exit is deadly. You get 1 pixel of your tyre onto that grass and you are flung to the left-hand side like no tomorrow. Downhill section now, braking just under the banner. Trail brake down the hill. That's the main thing. We want to keep the car nice and settled, nice and stable down here. We want to change, sort of downshift late to avoid sort of abrupt changes, nice and tight through 13, then the dipper you want to turn in nice and early through turn 14 there, and then on the exit pretty much straight line 15, and then down through the very fast S's section into the final corner before Conrod, which is coming up now. We want to trail brake nice and gently, keep it nice and tight to that right hand wall of turn 17, and then braking nice and early for Forest Elbow. Turn 18, as it's downhill, and we want to keep it nice and tight to that apex. So I do actually get onto the power fractionally late coming out of there, but I really didn't want to run the risk of sort of sliding out into the Falcon tyre wall on the exit there, which is very notorious for catching drivers out. And seeing as I was about 2 tenths up, or nearly 3 tenths up on the time, I thought we'll just take a tentative out of that corner there. Now, Lewis Hamilton does actually run deep into Forest Elbow slightly, so he gets a poor run onto Conrod, and you see, even though I was on the power late, I'm gaining all the way down the straight. And this is essentially the main part in the lap. I guess turn 1, if you get it dead right as well, you can gain quite a bit of time on him. And going into the cutting as well, we saw coming into turn 4, I was further over to the left-hand side of the racetrack than him, closer to that apex. We're going to focus on the chase now. Use this little bit of extra apron on the outside, and we want to turn into turn 20. We don't want to mount that curb, and then we're looking for the 150 metre board, braking just pretty much a hair before it. Down into third gear for turn 22, or turn 21, sorry. Trailing it in. We don't want to mount the curb, and then this corner here, it's flat out in a normal Group 3 car, but this car understeers so slightly. You see I do get a slight lift off the throttle, and you see I get up onto that curb there, which is fine, but if I kept my foot in the throttle 100% the whole way, I would have been out into that gravel trap. Final corner now. We do mess this up, but it was only, the braking point's fine, just after the 100 metre board. I do get that bit right. Trail and brake it in a similar fashion to turn 1. We get the apex nice, but our problem was getting onto the power too early, and we were actually 4 tenths up at one point, about halfway through that corner, so we definitely could have beat this lap here that I've done by quite a significant margin. But on the exit we do lose a little bit of time thanks to touching that grass, but we come across the line anyway with a fairly decent lap of a 2:01.185, which I think is my fastest lap in a Group 3 car at Bathurst in the game, because I had something achievable to chase. But we're going to go on a full speed lap. Hopefully you can take into account what I've taught you. Hopefully you can use it to beat his time. Braking just after the 100 metre board into turn 1, trail brake it into that apex, a little bit of camber on the inside, and then on the power nice and gently, using that curb on the exit and that little bit of extra road as we head up the run towards the undulating straight of Mountain Straight up into the section of Mount Panorama here in Bathurst. Coming into turn 2, we're 1.25 tenths up on Hamilton, braking just after the 100 metre board into turn 2, ride that camber on the inside. You do not want to be getting wider than I was there, and you don't want to mount that curb on the inside either. Through the cutting, lift off the power, roll it through here, and then onto the brakes gently down into second gear, and then slowly on the power on the exit. We do get a little bit of oversteer there, but that's okay. We don't affect it too much. Turning in just on the tree on the left-hand side into the mountain section now, and then we're going to come through here, down through Frog Hollow, just lift off the throttle as we go on the trough of that dip, and then turning in just before the crest of McPhillamy Park, using that curb on the exit but not too much, and then coming into the downhill section, braking just under the banner, down through the S's section, nice and gentle on the brakes, gentle down the gears, turning in nice and early for turn 14, you want a straight line 15, and then the fast S's section before Forest Elbow, keep it nice and tight in 17, on the brakes nice and early into 18, ride the camber on the inside, you can get onto the power slightly later than I did, as I had to manually point the car towards the outside of the track there, but like I said previously, Lewis Hamilton gets quite a poor run out onto Conrod Straight, so you can pretty much gain on him as long as you get the corner fairly nicely. coming into the chase now. We're going to use this little bit of extra road on the exit and then turning into turn 20. Don't want to ride that curb just before the 150 board. Get onto the brakes, down into third gear, trail brake it into turn 21. Nice and gently through 22. You do not want to understeer off the track there. Very easy to do. I did on multiple occasions. Final corner, I got my braking point correct just after the 100 meter board, but you want to be onto the power slightly later than I did. As you see, I'm onto the power too early and just catch the grass and it pulls you off the track. So we lost a little bit of time, but thankfully the run up to the finish line isn't that long. Didn't really affect our lap too much. We still come across with a 2:01.1. I do hope you enjoyed that. I do hope this helps you get closer to his time or further beating a time if you've already done it. And I do thank you for watching and getting to the end. Of course, do hit that like button if you enjoyed or if this helped you get a faster time, and do subscribe if you'd like to see more of these. I also have a playlist with more of these all together. Have a look on my channel under the playlist section. You'll see a Lewis Hamilton time trial one. They'll have all my laps there. I do endeavour to bring more of these, hopefully all of them, which I think I will at this point, so do keep an eye out for that. But that's going to be the end of this one today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.